Hi there, and welcome to Dork Wars, the podcast, your galactic hub for all things Star Wars and more. I'm your host, Blake, and I am here with only the elusive one, Grant.
Who's the elusive one now? Yeah, I'm starting to think it's me. Last time I showed up, it was just me, you, and Andrew. I don't think Wesley and Dietrich want to talk to me anymore.
Well, I mean, from what I hear, you're a poser. That's what they keep telling me.
I believe that accusation first came from your own lips.
I was just joking. I love you. I've been here every time you've been here. So
I know. It's been fantastic.
I kind of host the show. I can't take a day off. So let's get right into the nitty gritty of nerdy news. Now hear this.
Now hear this. Now hear this.
Now you hear this, whoever you are.
First off, in today's news, we have Star Wars Outlaw, the new game that is supposed to release on August the 30th, 2024. A bunch of TikTokers and X-users and Star Wars fans with a good following, or a pretty big following, were actually sent out to test the new game. I believe it's out in California. And I'm hearing some good things, man. Everyone's posting that they enjoyed what they played. And I'm kind of excited about this now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not gonna get super excited about it. I'm gonna be negative Nancy, if you will. And,
No, not Grant.
Not...
and I'm gonna have to bust your chops on that. I get in trouble when I'm negative around you guys.
Well, I mean, it's made by Ubisoft, and, the Assassin's Creed games are okay. I haven't played one in a while, but I mean, I mean, the graphics I know will look fantastic. The story, I'm fairly certain will be pretty good. But, I'm just worried about the gameplay being a little too, I mean, yeah, and that's one thing you can't really see with going in those reviews. It's like, yeah, they got to go play it for like an hour maybe. So yeah, right. In that first hour, yeah, that gameplay is amazing. But if you're going down a campaign and the gameplay doesn't evolve or the gameplay gets stale, that's going to be a big downer.
That's true too. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Unless you're talking about, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, in which case it's the best game ever, and I don't care what you say.
I'm super excited about that. Me and you are big Dragon Ball fans, man. Like this, me and Grant, huge. Wesley's he's a Dragon Ball fan too, and Andrew quotes it, so I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he goes over 9,000 every now and again.
Yeah, we need to do a Dragon Ball episode, dude. What we need to do is get Totally Not Mark on for a Dragon Ball episode. You know Totally Not Mark, right?
Yes.
Yeah, dude is awesome. Team 4-Star actually. Little tidbit here. They did the Boo Bits because they stopped doing Star Wars Abridged. That'd be hilarious. They stopped doing Dragon Ball Abridged at the end of the Cell Saga, and for the last season of Dragon Ball Z, they did little mini shorts years after they ended it, just for Totally Not Mark's video reviewing Dragon Ball Z. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some interesting stuff, but Star Wars Outlaw, I am excited to actually play the game of Sabacc. It's actually going to be in this game for the first time, so we're actually going to be able to play. So that's one thing I am excited for.
Yeah, never happened before. I'm pretty excited for that as well. Daisy Ridley has come out now and said that she is excited about the new Rey movie. They've given her a little bit of a synopsis of what it's going to be about. No script yet. She hasn't read the script. She said soon-ish in her interview. I'm a little worried because I don't know. The sequels didn't resonate with me.
Yeah, but the sequels, it was none of the actors' faults. I mean, the actors...
No, nothing against Daisy Ridley. No.
Yeah, they did very well with what they had to work with. That's more on the writing and producing side, and I know there's mixed feelings about Dave Filoni being the chief creative officer, or I think that's his name or something like that. something like that. Basically, that's
sounds made up to me.
He's
You're the head of fun. Oh, cool.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and anytime at all. Down here in the deep blue sea.
He's had his hand in driving Star Wars, since the Clone Wars, and really taken the front seat, obviously, since The Mandalorian. And, most of the stuff has been pretty good. His hands have been all in some of the best Star Wars shows we've seen. So I think that with him overseeing, it won't be as much of a cluster as it was for the sequel trilogy, which I guess we have to come up with a new name for.
Yeah, well, this isn't going to be a trilogy, I don't think. Or they're not saying it is. It's not the start of a new trilogy.
They can either confirm nor deny whether this will be a trilogy or not.
Yeah,
they're just going to keep making movies until it's going MCU style. It's just going to make more movies until no one wants to watch them anymore, and even then, still make more movies.
They are also calling this project in pre-production the New Jedi Order, and that holds a lot of weight. That is the name of a series of Legends books that detail the Yuzun Vong War. Too early to speculate whether we're going to see anything like that. That would be crazy. That would be over the top.
I don't know if it'd be over the top. I think it would get a lot of Legends fans excited. Personally, just hearing that title, it does, or loose title. It's a working title. Obviously, it's not what they're actually calling it.
Right.
Yeah, it gets me excited because that's what we all thought originally the new sequel trilogy was going to kind of be like. It was like, oh, we'll get to see this whole new Jedi Order, it's going to be awesome. And then they went the complete opposite direction, and there was none of it. So I'm excited they're going in that direction, it seems, and actually letting Rey do it. And I'm excited that it will probably be more like the new Jedi Order, or the new Jedi Order, because there was a new Jedi Order that was actually in the Legends books.
The even newer Jedi Order.
I think it would be more like the ones in the books because, obviously, she saw Luke. Well, Luke didn't teach her the Jedi ways, really, and he burned all the texts that were left. So,
no, he didn't. She had them. She has the texts.
No, he burned it. Remember when he's sitting next to Yoda? He burned it.
Yeah, no, but then you cut to her in the Falcon, and she has the text in the back seat, in the back chair.
We're gonna say that she decides not to follow it as much, but not so strictly.
Oh, Grant. I'm not gonna play the recording, Grant. I'm not gonna play it.
Well, I didn't predict it. I said I hope. I hope they don't make it the same thing where it's the same order and it fails the same way that Luke's did, because it failed the first time. Exactly.
We will have to see where that goes. Hopefully a good direction. Last little bit of news is more of a Star Wars fandom thing. Man, there's a dumpster fire going on at Wikipedia right now. A lot of craziness, man. So Wikipedia, for those of you who do not know, if you're listening to the show, you probably know Wikipedia. It is like the #1 authority on Star Wars knowledge. The editors that are able to make addendums to the articles are all really knowledgeable, and they do a really good job of updating them. This is more on the social media side. So they have a Twix, Twitter X, we call it the Twix here, account. And I don't know about other social medias, but I do know on the Twix, man, they are getting some heavy backlash for unfollowing a ton of profiles and just kind of maintaining some radio silence over the past week. From what I can tell, there's been a change in regime. They kicked out the social media guy, who was fantastic, by the way. He's actually been on our show. He was on one of our live shows. Jordan Wilson. Fantastic guy. Really put himself out there on the socials and interacted with a lot of the Star Wars fan communities. He'd go on podcasts. He was just an all-around good guy. And I've had actually some personal conversations with him as well. Just not some great stuff. I'm not going to try to spew any hatred or anything, or tell you what to not do or to do. But I have made some funny memes on our social medias depicting the Wikipedia blow up. If you know the Wikipedia logo, it's a Death Star. Well, I made the Death Star blowing up from Return of the Jedi, and under it putting the Wikipedia logo thing. It was actually pretty funny. But it's just not a good look when you're unfollowing the community that's pretty much built you up, you know, that have supported you in your times. There was a big whole thing between them and old Star Wars Theory a couple weeks ago, and the fans really had Wikipedia's back. And now it's kind of...
One might say they win Star Wars Theory.
We're getting on to defamation of character at this point. It's just not a good look. Not a good look. So Dork Wars, the podcast, has a merchandise store.
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up the store.
We have got Dork Wars the coffee mug, Dork Wars the t-shirt, Dork Wars the hoodie. We even have different styles of those clothes because we just want you to keep your clothes on, all right? Put your clothes on, folks, if you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about episodes 6 and 7 in our main topic. And if you know, you know. Just buy some clothes from Dork Wars to keep them on your body. We ain't got no pants or anything. Maybe we should look into that. But,
Dork Wars the jogger.
I like it. Dork Wars the jogging pants. We need to get those. Please visit dorkwarspodcast.com where you can find our merchandise store. You can find everywhere that we put our episodes for the podcast. Spotify, Apple Music, our YouTube channel. Our episodes are now released every week on our YouTube channel, and we also have some other fun videos on there, old lives, some shorts. I'm going to start hopefully doing some more videos on there for the Dork Wars YouTube channel, so check all that stuff out. And buy you a little something from the merchandise store and wear Dork Wars around. Dork Wars, the podcast, is also a part of the Subculture Podcast Network.
This show is part of the Subculture Podcast Network. For pop culture and entertainment podcasts, go to bio.link/subculturepodnetwork. Prepare to be entertained.
Tonight, we are going to be talking jointly about the Acolyte episodes 6 and 7.
The Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
First off, if you haven't watched these 2 episodes, you're behind, just like we are. But pause Dork Wars. Don't listen to the spoilers we're about to spoil for you. Check out the episodes, then come back and listen to our review.
Attention.
Spoilers.
First up, we're talking Acolyte episode 6, Teach/Corrupt, which is a pretty good title, I think, for this one. And I want to say, Grant, I want to start this one out. There wasn't a ton that happened. We get some exposition, get some good chats. But I don't know. It slowed down way too much for me right here. Almost to a grinding halt.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a bit slower, but I didn't mind the change of pace. I mean, we had just gotten through an amazing murder spree in episode 5. And so I don't mind the change of pace coming into episode 6. It slows it down. It allows them to humanize Qimir, which I think is very important, since this is, the Acolyte is supposed to be a Sith mystery story. It's supposed to be about the Sith. It's supposed to be about the bad guys and showing that maybe they're not all just lunatics that want to take over the galaxy.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I would say that about Count Dooku. Count Dooku, I think, turned to the Sith to really help the galaxy. We need to have a podcast about that. Diedrich would love that podcast. That would be one that he would definitely sit in on. But do you think they do that too much in today's media, Grant? Try to make the bad guy look like not such a bad guy? Kind of like that quote from Wreck-It Ralph, where Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. I don't know, man. I want my bad guys to be bad.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, it doesn't take away from Qimir being bad. I mean, he just slaughtered how many Jedi in the previous episode before this? It doesn't take that away. It just allows you to get more into knowing the character. I mean, looking back at, we'll go back to the original trilogy, you visit in on Vader occasionally, but you don't really get to know him as a character beyond, you know, what you hear from Obi-Wan and what you hear in an Empire, when he's,
See him choke out a lot of people. Be really menacing.
You find out he's menacing. He chokes out a lot of people. You find out he's Luke's father, and then, I mean, there wasn't a lot of deepness to that character in that original trilogy. Of course, they built out of around that character because he's the guy. But, you know, in the original trilogy, it wasn't there. And I appreciate that they're building out Chimir's character here in this episode.
I think Vader was a character we didn't have to have that for.
And that's fair. There are different types of characters and villains. And, you know, I think they want Qimir to be one that you want to be invested in, that you want to be interested in.
And I'm definitely intrigued. I'm intrigued by the storyline. I'm not saying they shouldn't go that way,
mm-hmm.
but this is a trope we've seen a lot in recent media over the past probably decade or so.
It is.
Where humanize the bad guy. We got to humanize the bad guy. He can't just be bad because he's bad. There's got to be a reason.
It is. It's not something we've seen in Star Wars, though.
Except for, well, I guess that hadn't been the last decade, but, you know, the Dark Knight Joker, he was just crazy.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you?
Hey, Heath Ledger did an amazing job in that. Some would say too good of a job.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I will say I was shocked that this is the episode that Disney allowed Star Wars to go fully nude. Did not see that coming.
Me neither, man. Dude, Qimir drops trowel or robe and just gets into that. I was like, I know we ain't getting no butt cheek. If we get butt cheek, I'm turning this thing off. I don't need Qimir butt cheek in my life, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just going to point this out that Osha, as soon as she saw his upper half or his lower half leave the water, she all of a sudden wasn't saying "Don't walk forward" anymore. She seemed,
"Sir, can you put away your lightsaber?" Oh my god. I was not, man. You know what? Qimir, if you're listening to Dork Wars podcast, check out dorkwarspodcast.com where you can buy yourself a shirt. We ain't got any jogging pants for you, but we're working on it.
But no. But let's talk a little bit about that scene, because there's a lot there.
Yeah, other than the nudity, there is a lot of talk, and it really doesn't take the story forward, but it does give us a good character analysis of both Qimir and Osha.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn about these characters here. Osha, you know, so far she'd been like, "Oh yeah, I'm helping stop my sister. She killed all my family, yada yada yada." And here, you know, this is the person who's, you know, taught her sister, well, we know the dark side of the Force, and she's like, "You know what? I'm willing to talk to you and listen to you and have a conversation, and I'm not just gonna be like the Jedi were and just hey, let's duke this out and let's take care of the problem right here, right now."
Well, she knows now that the Jedi didn't get her sister. Her sister's not dead. She's mad about something. She's mad. She's specifically mad at the Jedi for murdering her family, and Osha knows this. So she's kind of had her world rocked at this point, not just because of the nudity thing. And then Qimir really hones in on her not being a Jedi. He kind of needles her about how she wasn't good enough. Like, she's holding the lightsaber, and he says, "Oh, it's good to hold a lightsaber again, isn't it?" And just kind of rubbing it in that she's not a Jedi, because it hasn't been specifically stated, but I don't think they were going to make her a Jedi Knight.
No, there was no way they were going to. And I don't think he was really rubbing it in. I mean, yes, to a certain extent.
He was rubbing salt in a wound.
I think it was more so him building a bridge. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I'm the same. We're the same.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's doing that to butter her up. I mean, towards his way of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, you're no Jedi. They didn't want you. They didn't want me either. You know, and so
yeah, exactly.
You know, I understand exactly what you're feeling, and I know you have hatred and disgust and all this other stuff. You know, these negative emotions. Why don't you just give in to them a little bit?
And guess what? We're the dark side. We support all that. You have everything you need right now. No startup kit needed.
Well, I mean, it's very interesting. Just seeing her, you know, Qimir being so, you know, willing to let her hold his lightsaber to put it right to his throat.
Right to his throat. I mean, she could have killed him, man. Could have ended him.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's where you see that anger and that passion.
This is where Palpatine would be saying, "Good, good, do it." And, you know, he's like, good, feed into that. And it's almost like, and, you know, he talks about May a little bit and how she fails him. And it's certainly interesting to see the dynamic of Osha and Qimir on screen together.
And note this, May failed him, and he wants nothing to do with her. Like, she's pretty much dead to him now. From what he says, it might not be for real, but I mean,
he was ready to kill her.
That too. That's very true.
He was ready to kill her, and he hasn't attempted to kill Osha. So I'm going to say there's some credibility to this statement.
Yeah. What about the world he's on? There's a lot of people drawing parallels to Octo from the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, there's definitely some parallels there with the islands, the
I mean, it looks a lot. I mean, it looks almost exactly like the landscape of Octo.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought that's where it was at first, and you know, I read some stuff later, and they confirmed, Leslie Headland, the showrunner, confirmed that's not Octo. But you know, it's definitely very similar. We know Octo was the, you know, birthplace, quote unquote, of the Jedi, or at least in a very old sacred place. So
it was for the Jedi. It was the home, like, not the home world, but that was like one of the original outposts for the Jedi. Maybe, I think, the original HQ, if you will, where they started up. But the Sith are a splinter order of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. So they can also trace their roots to Octo.
Yeah, they certainly can, and that's, you know, I was thinking either that or there's just a duology of a planet, if you will. You know, how the light and dark, there's a duology there.
And if you remember, Octo had that, like, real bad dark side energy there in the basement.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible that they're on Octo and they're just saying no, but, you know, it's really tough to say. It's very interesting, the parallels there, and, you know, there's a lot of talk and rumor that Qimir isn't exactly a Sith, and he's more setting up the Knights of Ren, which is another sequel trilogy tie back. So, I mean, it's very different and an interesting approach. I like the landscape. It's very, you know, different compared to other places like I don't know, a desert planet.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's pretty nice. I enjoy it.
Hey, and hitting on that, there hasn't been any desert planets in this show.
Is that a Star Wars first, or did Andor not have any desert planets?
I don't think Andor did either. But well, I lied. I mean, that first planet where May and Master Indira Trinity fight, I think that was a deserty kind of world.
We only see that planet inside the building, though.
Doesn't she come up and it's like sandy? It looks like it's sandy outside.
I don't remember. I have to go back and watch it, okay? We're talking about episode 6 and 7 tonight.
That's right. One of the only other things I really wanted to hit on episode 6, because, yeah, we've got the whole we've got Master Soul and May and their dynamic. May's trying to still fool Soul into thinking she's Osha. And that can only go so far. And that whole little debacle is kind of weird. Not much happens there, except for we do get Soul trying to contact the Jedi Council or the Jedi at Coruscant, and he can't get a hold. I mean, he gets a hold of him, but the connection's bad, and he is still the only one that has heard the word Sith. The only Jedi. So we're still in the canon not broken arena here.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out, because there is something else there. Is that he hyperspaces away, he leaves the planet, and then we have the other Jedi arriving, and they see the lightsaber marks, and that Padawan saying, he kind of insinuates that Master Soul was the one that he thinks killed them all.
Yeah, and what a twist it would be if the Jedi end up killing Soul. I
don't think the Jedi are going to kill Soul. I have my own theory for that one, but I think that Soul's going to get blamed for everything.
I don't think they will either, but it would be kind of... That's a twist I wouldn't see.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see coming. Well, I guess now that I've said it out loud, yeah, it is. Because I just kind of came up with it. But that would be refreshing.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad to say. It'd be refreshing to see Soul killed by the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't think so, but, overall, I think they are setting up Soul to be the one to take the fall.
Yeah, and he's definitely dying, I think, in this series.
Yeah.
He's not making it. I'm sorry. Soul's not making it. And I have my doubts about Osha and May. I think they may have to kick the bucket as well. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. What about the light whip, Grant? What you think? What you think about the light whip in live action? First time ever seen.
Light whip in live action looks amazing. I like that it's purple, actually. Ties into Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson making George Lucas have him a purple lightsaber, and we can see the effects of that. And overall, it's really cool. Have you seen the theories online that the scars on Qimir's back and such are from her light whip?
Because it does look like a whip.
Mm-hmm.
And
Qimir does say in the episode that they tried to kill him when he left.
That is true. We might get that. And Venestra, she is a figure from the High Republic books. She's actually on the cover of one of them with that light whip. I made a funny satirical post on Facebook and X about how canon breaking it was, because on the cover she was using her left hand, and then in the show she was using her right hand. And they're breaking canon, man. They're breaking canon by switching. She's not left-handed anymore. Now she's right-handed. What's going on? Come on, Leslie. You should know these things.
Star Wars is dead.
The funny part is, on that cover, she's using a regular lightsaber and not a light whip.
Is she?
Yeah.
Blake and Grant were actually right and wrong about this statement. While on the cover of the Star Wars High Republic book, E-Test of Courage, Venestra does have a normal lightsaber. The meme that was created by Blake used an illustration that is in the same novel. Check out the meme on the Dork Wars Facebook. Now back to your regularly scheduled Poodoo.
So, little background lore for those people who care about it. During the times of the High Republic, when that book takes place, this is actually the children's book version, is what she's the lead of. Light whips were banned by the Jedi Order at the beginning of that book. Right. She put in request after request through different times within it. I believe this was recorded somewhere in the comics, where they finally allowed her to get a light whip instead of a normal lightsaber. So she fought to actually get the light whip. So if that ends up being, she attacks Qimir and attacked her Padawan. Let's say Qimir was her Padawan and left. It'd be kind of funny, like that weapon possible. Did that and everything. So,
I think it's funny with the light whip. That goes way back. Do you remember who had a light whip in Legends?
Oh God, I do not recall who had it in Legends.
Lumia, Darth Vader's apprentice from the Legends books, the Dark Lady of the Sith, a menacing character, and again, man, it just shows that the folks that are handling Star Wars definitely know about the expanded universe, now Legends material. That's not necessarily Leslie Headland because they've written about it in the High Republic novels, but it's a tie back, and it was a dark side weapon.
Yep, that's why it was banned by the Jedi.
It was a dark side weapon, and I personally think the light whip's kind of weird. I don't really like it. I've never really cared, even in Legends. I never really cared for it, but whatever. I mean, it doesn't bother me that it's in here, but it's just a weapon that I just thought was too weird. I don't know, maybe just too out there for me.
Yeah, I mean, the way she uses it is very interesting, though. It has a much longer reach than a normal lightsaber does, so it definitely has its advantages.
I'm gonna have to do an Indiana Jones Finestra kind of crossover meme post online. So check that out in the days to come.
Harrison Ford's still finding his way to being Star Wars even when he doesn't want to be.
Yeah. They will do anything they can to bring that man back.
And actually, there is one more important thing at the end of episode 6 that we gotta talk before we jump over to 7.
Okay.
Osha putting on his Qimir's helmet. And explaining the helmet and what it is and what it does.
It is a visual representation that she's thinking about turning to the dark side and is embracing it a little bit.
She puts it on, and before she puts it on, Qimir kind of describes the helmet. He says it's made of cortosis, which we now know is yet another material that lightsabers cannot cut through.
And from Legends, we've discussed that as well.
Yeah, but now it's canon.
It's canon.
And then we also find out that it blocks out the Force, so it kind of makes it very interesting. So and you can't see anything out of it basically. So she puts it on her head, and Qimir tells her when you put it on, it's just you and the Force in there. There's no outside interference. There's no nothing. It allows you to just focus on the Force. Which kind of explains, how Qimir was able to do some things when he had that helmet on. I mean, he just flew down from out of nowhere and no one could sense him. He was stopping lightsaber blades with his little Cortosis gauntlets and helmet and just deactivating them. It was crazy. I'm
one with the Force, and the Force is with me in the bad way. In Chirrut Imwe's kind of fashion, he came down and just owned all the people who were trying to hurt him. So it is kind of a dark side take on I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean,
maybe I'm reaching. I might be reaching there.
A little bit. But
it works.
It does work. One of the things that we see, though, as the episode's ending and going off, we're looking through Osha's eyes as she puts on the helmet, and you can see it's just dark with little slits that you can barely see any light through. And you can just hear her breathing. And it's just by her putting it on, she's like, I want to be in touch with the Force. We know that's been one of the things they've been setting up.
She struggled with.
There's been little things all throughout the season saying, hey, Osha hasn't been able to really be in tune with the Force. She hasn't been able to use the Force or touch the Force or anything the way that she wants to. And so or
the way that May can.
Yeah. And so she's thinking, I'm going to go in and I'm going to see if I can use the Force. And so I think part of her fall, if you will, is going to be the fact that the Force responds to her with that helmet on.
Yeah, I believe we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, but it does seem like the sisters, I don't know if they'll switch roles completely, but Osha's definitely on a trend to the dark side, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, episode 6 was slower paced, but not useless.
Yeah, not useless. No. I thought the pacing of the show's been odd to me all over.
Yeah,
I
has some hills and valleys in action.
I wish they would
have.
I wish they would have put episodes 4 and 5 together and made it like a longer episode and take out some of the stuff that was in 4, because a lot of that was just walking around and giving exposition that has already been expositioned. But anyway, I digress. So now, with kind of the wrap up of episode 6, episode 7, Choice, is the next episode we're going to discuss, and the penultimate episode of the season. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I like the flashback. I knew we were going to get another flashback episode. You kind of had to. Got to find out what happened, what really went down. I do have a little bit of discrepancies with the character of Torben, Master Torben now, then Padawan Torben. We'll get to that. But I think overall it was a good episode. The action was on point. Overall, something we needed to see. But I do have some reservations about how or why things were done, and why the Jedi think they screwed up so bad. So, Grant, what are your general feelings on this episode?
Overall, we did need to know the information. I just wish it wasn't the penultimate episode that they gave this information in. I feel like
they should have flipped episode 6 and 7, because I was sure that episode 6 was going to be the flashback episode.
I mean, they set it up that way because episode 6 at the end is Soul saying, "All right, May, now let me tell you all about what happened." From his perspective. So it makes sense why they did it that way. But what I think is they should have combined, episodes 4 and 5 or 5 and 6.
I don't think 4 and 5 definitely went together. Day and night, definitely went together.
4 and 5 should have been one episode. Then episode 5 should have been what was episode 6, and go back one, and then we have 2 episodes to kind of wrap things up rather than just this one.
And then, and episode 5 has all that great action. This episode has all that great action. You kind of keep the ante up there, the momentum going, just fast-paced train, baby. Let's go. And then, in your penultimate episode, all the pieces kind of fall where they're going to fall before the big ending. You get that kind of calm before the storm effect that I think episode 6 gave. But what do I know?
I mean, my problem is just like, okay, how are they going to get all the, the 4 characters at least? How are they going to get Soul, May, Osha, and Qimir together? There's no hook there saying that how they're going to get together. There's nothing
unless
there.
Unless Qimir knows where they're going and they're just all going to zap there, or I have no idea.
I mean, there's that. I mean, slim chance that May tells Soul where Chimir's planet is, because she's been there. We saw her there on episode 1, the end of episode 1, I think, or 2.
Right.
So she knows where his planet is, but why would she go there? She knows Chimir's trying to kill her. Why would she tell Soul that? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
She's not going to want to go back there.
Yeah, and so that's my big thing, is like, there's no hook about what's happening next. There's no clue about what's about to occur.
Plot devices everywhere, and I say this every time I talk about any kind of media, but you have to have some things that are plot device. I mean, look at Dexter Jettster in episode 2. Big dinosaur guy owns a 1950s themed diner in the middle of Coruscant, just happens to know Obi-Wan and about Kamino and darts. Like, big plot device there. But we overlook that because Dexter Jettster's just awesome. But it was kind of like one of those, it's got to be like one of those kind of things where it's like, we all have to conveniently want to be in the same place at the same time, because we got to get Venestra there too. I think she's going to have to be at the final showdown.
I don't think so, because then, that says, well, we got to kill Venestra too. Because the Jedi don't know about the Sith. So
why not kill her?
I mean, yeah, but I feel like she's a character they want to, if they do a season 2, to carry over.
Yeah, because there's got to be some kind of carryover, huh?
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of connection.
Somebody's got to survive.
Qimir, May, Osha, Venestra. I don't think Soul. As much as I want Soul to continue, I don't see how he lives.
Nah, he dies. He's got to die. Or turns to the dark side. That's it. Maybe they all end up on Scarif and all blow up.
I mean, who knows? But I mean, in the episode, talking about, different things that happened, Soul killing Osha's mom, the head witch of the coven, really surprised me. I didn't think that Soul.
Okay, it didn't surprise me, but okay, she went all like Dementor, ghosty.
The worst thing about prison was the Dementors. They were flying all over the place, and they were scary. And then they come down and they suck the soul out of your body, and it hurt.
I would have stabbed her too, and I'm a pretty good dude. Like,
I mean, yeah, I understand in the moment why, but it's not something that I foresaw. There's not, I was thinking Soul didn't know. All the other Jedi were there fighting, and then they just started killing people, and he was just trying to find them. But that's not how it turned out.
Him stabbing her was, I think that was the appropriate thing. He shouldn't feel bad about that. And two,
I mean, she's like,
then she says this. She's like, I was gonna let her go with y'all. Like, why didn't you open up with that? Like, that is not the vibe we were getting before this whole thing started. This whole conflict.
Well, it goes back to the other mother being an absolute. I mean, if we're going to cast,
she's the leader, dude. She's the leader. What she says goes.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it, man. The other mother has over there gotten all these other people who want to fight, and the leader's the only one that doesn't. She's the only one saying she needs to go. So if she simply lets them go, simply right there, that could cause a whole other issue of, well, now she's got to fight off her own witch coven or get, pushed out or some sort of, power struggle. Right. And, there's consequences there. Ultimately, I think she would have let her go. But then Torben and Soul didn't really give her time to do what she needed to do to set everything in motion properly.
That's true as well. I think the motives there were a little sloppy for me. Just a little. But after this, man, the conflict, or the battle, I will say, is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the conflict is pretty good. The battle's pretty good.
They start shooting at them, and Torben has been to the Anakin Skywalker School of Lightsaber Flippery, the Obi-Wan School of Lightsaber Flippery. Or maybe they've been to the Torben School of Lightsaber Flippery, because he just starts doing the... Oh, man, the rotating lightsaber around his body, blocking all the shots. That was cool.
Now, let's be honest. They all went to Yoda's lightsaber school.
No, they did not, because Yoda doesn't do that. Yoda just... He jumps and he turns so fast.
Hey, we saw old man Yoda. We have not seen not as quite as old man Yoda.
Dude, Yoda just jumps around so fast that his lightsaber is all around him at one time. That's Yoda's move, man. They can't do that.
Yeah, the combat was great. I did like seeing Torben and Soul fighting Kalnaka. That was a nice, interesting little twist there. Of course, we've seen in the trailer some of that action, but
right.
It was really nice to see them and see how kind of crazy Soul was when he was like, yeah, I'm going to fight a Wookiee with my bare hands a little bit.
Dude.
And not run.
Kalnaka was scary, dude. Like, Wookiee with a lightsaber and can just rip you apart. He can rip your arms off. A Wookiee with a lightsaber and he can rip your arms off if he loses a game of space chess. Like, nah, dude, I don't. No, thank you. This cat was raw. We see what happened to Torben's face. He's lucky to have it still. That was just crazy. That whole fight was great. I love the action sequences. I like the unbridled power of the Jedi Wookiee. I've been waiting to see that in live action for years. Oh my gosh. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the cool things that they could do, and going back to the High Republic books, is as long as he's alive, they could bring out Beriega, the Wookiee from the High Republic books, the original set of trilogy. If he's alive, Wookiees are still, they live a long time. He's still alive in this time period.
I don't know the exact Wookiee lifespan, but Chewbacca is alive through the entire prequel trilogy, the entire original trilogy, and I think it said that he's kind of getting into his prime during the sequel trilogy. So, I mean, they possibly live as long as little Yoda people.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think there's an official age on it.
They have longer lifespans, that's for sure. And so, we could see some other Wookiee Jedi come in, because there have been some others that they've introduced within the High Republic books.
Yeah. I don't think you need too many, though. You don't need too many.
No, they're a rare breed.
You don't want it to get overdone. Yeah, you don't want to get overdone.
But, I mean, other than that, one important thing, of course, is when you see, the Witch Coven, they went down, they transported themselves, went all Phantom mode.
The Mentor mode.
The Mentor mode. But one thing I noticed is that you don't see the Horned Mother down there. You don't see her die. She just kind of does it and disappears. So
she's gone.
I think she's still alive somewhere.
She's alive. She gotta be. I think she is. I was gonna bring that up too, Grant. Good detective work. I also noticed she didn't go down there and she just disappeared.
Yeah. And I mean, she just disappears, and so it's kind of questioning. It's like, okay, we know that they touched the Force. She's very angry. I mean, everyone got killed. Is she the one who restarts the dark side of the Force Sith? I think that we've said that Qimir. We think projecting that Qimir's an acolyte himself. He's not the master, and what if his master is the mother, and that's why he was so interested in Osha and May.
A fair possibility. I do want to talk before, because I know we kind of skipped ahead because we didn't talk about Osha May, but I wanted to save that for a little bit later because I got some stuff that would be good for later. Master Indira. I want to talk about her for quite a bit here because she comes in. I want to start with her battle persona. She comes in and she disconnects Kelnaka's mind from the rest of the clan, and they just all die. That was pretty crazy. I thought that was a little bit too convenient.
I don't think she just disconnected them. I think she may have scrambled them up a little bit. And by
she
a little
killed
bit,
them, dude. I mean, scrambled them up a bit.
I mean,
she fried their brains. Their brains are scrambled.
She fried their brains with the Force. Okay.
That was nuts. I mean, like that was a weird power. I don't know. It was a weird power for her to have.
I mean, it seems a little dark sidey for me, but
that too. But this goes into the next point I want to make about her. She's acting dodgy, dude. She was all about the kids not coming on to the ship and going with them to Coruscant. She even says that she made contact with Coruscant and they were never bringing Osha. Osha was never going to be able to come with them. I'm almost doubting she even called Coruscant the first time she said she did. I don't think she did.
I'm not.
But then she scolds Soul about having attachments and being attached to this girl, and then she kind of throws it in his face at the end of the episode. Aren't you worried about this girl? Blah 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 blah.
So yeah, it's a little bit up and down with her character, but I think she's been more.
It's not up and down. I think she's just dodgy, man. She is hiding something.
I don't think she's hiding something.
Nah, she was, man.
Nah,
totally.
I'm not.
I hope we find out. I am. She was acting. She was so sketch.
No, I mean she's on the council. I mean, she's yeah.
She's sketch, bruh. She's sketch.
Look, she's on the council. She has to think of it. The council. Oh, they're too old. They said the same thing about Anakin. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, but there are virgins in the Force, man. You saw that M count. They did.
Excuse me. They did not say they were the virgins. They said they were born from a virgins in the Force. Difference, because that Anakin was the virgins, as said by Qui-Gon Jinn. They never directly say that they are the virgins the way that Anakin was.
That's correct. So, Grant, you are segueing right into every point I want to talk about.
I'm setting you up, man. I'm serving it up Gary's way. We didn't even rehearse.
Setting them up Gary's way. That's right. So, Osha and May. I almost think that they were created for Anastasia to transfer her essence into them and kind of have them merge into one, and she transfer her essence, or something to that effect. I think there's some essence transfer, something going on here.
You know,
they're created, and when they're marked with that mark for the ascendancy, isn't that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
You know, May got hers on the one side of her head. I'm assuming that Osha's would have went on the other side. And we find out in this episode that they were being groomed when they went through the ascension, that they were going to lead the tribe. This is so they could lead the tribe. But why?
So I'm not, they've been kind of pointing and hinting and kind of almost blatantly saying that, Soul thought that that Anastasia was going to try and take over, Mayor Osha's body when she went and did her form. That's why he killed her. That's what he thought, because that's what they came to, and I don't think that's the conclusion.
They were both going ghost.
Yeah, well, it was just I didn't think that's what was happening, and I truly don't think that's what Anastasia wanted. I mean, look at her. She was
loved her children.
She was love her children. I think that was the original purpose of why they were created.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Anastasia.
No,
she definitely had a change of heart. She didn't want to do it anymore, and I don't think she. And I think that's part of the reason why the rest of the clan was like, "What the heck are you doing?" And she's just like,
"I'm with you. I'm honestly with you on that, Grant. I'm honestly with you on that. I think she originally was in on it, and then she had a change of heart. But the fact that their signatures are the exact same, I can't remember what they called it in the episode. Oh, right this second. Now I feel bad.
We know what you're talking about. The Star Wars version of DNA.
They were the exact same. Even identical twins who are force sensitive have different signatures, or force fingerprints, if you will. Yet Osha and Maze are exactly the same. Like they're one being, but split into two. So there's got to be something about them being one being. Maybe they were supposed to be one being and that got botched up or something. I don't know. I think it's very intriguing, though. Any theories on that?
It is very intriguing and something to really think about. I think it does have to do something with the Virgins, obviously, in the Force. But the question is, what is that Virgins? They don't directly tell you what it is here and how they were created. And so, we know that there are two mothers there. One of them carried them. So obviously there's some sort of, implantation that happens. And so, I mean, with that, there's some sort of dark force power that's working with it. We know this planet they're on should not have regained life because it was part of the disaster.
Good drop, by the way. Yeah. Good drop.
Yeah. If you've read the High Republic books, you know all about
spoiler
the disaster.
Spoiler alert.
Warnings.
If you haven't read them and you want to, there's going to be a quick spoiler. Give us like 30 seconds to talk about this. In the very first High Republic book, Star by Star, right? I think it was Star by Star. Or no, not Star by Star.
No, it's Light of the Jedi, wasn't it?
Light of the Jedi. That's right. Star by Star is the end of that trilogy. Yeah. It's Light of the Jedi. The first 15 chapters.
The first third of that book.
I think it's more. That's fair.
It's broken into parts. Part 1 was the disaster. Part 2 was
but the parts aren't exactly all the same length.
Yeah, but the first part of the book.
That's fair. The first third of this book is literally focused on the Great Disaster, where a ship is destroyed in hyperspace, and it comes out of hyperspace at different points, just demolishing planets.
Yeah.
And this planet was a part of that. And the spoilers are over now.
Yeah. And all the other planets from it are not regaining life because they're not supposed to. And this planet is. And, it's very interesting that this planet's regaining life, that the mining facility that they're staying in, because you find out it's some sort of mining there that the witches
Probably
lived in.
cortosis.
You know, that's still standing and they didn't build it. So that withstood the disaster. And I mean, there's some interesting things going on there, and it almost makes me think maybe there was a specific kyber crystal that they were mining there, and
I think they're mining cortosis there.
It could be cortosis, could be kyber crystal, who knows? I mean, hopefully we'll find out, but we may not. But whatever they're mining there is definitely part of it. Cortosis does make sense because obviously it affects with kyber crystals and the force, and so it could be something there. It's definitely something, and so I think that's definitely part of it. And the mine is specific because they didn't have to tell us, about that facility. As far as we knew, it was just a facility that was abandoned that they lived in. But they specifically mentioned different parts of it. Oh, this is an old mining thing, and this and that. So I think it's an important little detail that they gave us that they didn't need to.
Right. I agree. So, Grant, I'm about to wrap this up. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about in episode 7?
The only other thing I can think of is at the end when, the Jedi are talking Soul and the team, and, Soul wants to tell the council about what truly happened, and funnily enough, he gets told by the one on the council, no, lie, and lie to Osha.
Sketchy.
And ultimately, Soul, Osha wakes up, and we've seen the scene from the earlier flashback episode where he's like, she asks what happened, and he says, Mace started a fire, no one survived, they all died. He doesn't specifically tell her that the fire killed them or how they died, so he does a lie of omission.
That's true. That's something to think about. I think he's still just trying to be the good guy in her eyes.
And I think that that lie of omission, when she finds out the truth in this last episode, because she will, I think that's what's gonna push her over the edge and be the ultimate demise of Soul with the Force specifically.
I like it.
Because if people haven't figured it out yet, the test to pass the Sith trial, to kill a Jedi without a weapon, is to use the Force to kill them.
That's a good prediction, Grant. I like it. You did the homework. You went between the numbers. I think that's awesome. So let's go on and rate these 2 episodes. Let's give each their own rating. I think there's only 2 of us, so I think we got enough time for that. Grant, first off, what do you rate The Acolyte, episode 6?
Episode 6 sounds right with a 6. It's coming off a high action episode. There's a lot of different things that are setting up for the future, but I don't think there's enough there that happens to rate it higher than that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna say 6.5 just because I don't want to say 6, like you.
What, you didn't want to execute Order 66 with me?
Oh my gosh! I want to change that. Grant, I'm also going to give this episode a 6.
It is because we must execute Order 66.
Ooh, from now on, that should be like the ultimate. That should be the ultimate rating. Instead of 10, we give it a 66. That'd be awesome.
I'm down.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. All the same things, man. We get a change of pace, which I thought was a little too much of a throttle back from that 5th episode. We get a lot of exposition, a lot of explaining, but nothing really moves forward very much. And you got that light whip thing, which I'm still a little about. And the ambidextrousness. Venestra, cannon breaking, left hand, right hand. Which one should she use, guys? Come on. I'm just kidding. That's satire for anyone. Those people on the Facebook page, man. There was about a third of those people that were like, man, you're so stupid. She's probably ambidextrous. Like, dude, she's a Jedi. And I'm like, look, guys, this is a satirical post. The fact that I have to say this, because I made it overtly, like, caps and a lot of punctuation. Like, I made it overtly satirical.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of laughs, too. Most people got it, so I was happy about that.
Just going to point this out for all the haters that take that very seriously. Anakin was right-handed, and yet he was able to use a lightsaber in each hand at the same time and be perfectly fine.
So, Grant, what do you give the Acolyte Episode 7 choice?
I choose to also give this episode a 6.
Ooh.
You know, there was more action, there was more stuff here, but I don't like it being the penultimate episode without having hooks for what's coming in the finale. You know, I'm looking forward to the finale because I want to know the end of the story, but there's nothing there driving me to say, I can't wait for next week. You know, I can't wait to follow up on this point or this thing and see how it plays out. You know, that's missing from this penultimate episode, and I think that's a very big missed opportunity for, you know, the more casual fan.
I truly think that we're not going to get a solid conclusion next week. I think there's going to be answers left open, and whether they're answered in a season 2 of this show, because that's not been officially announced, or whether it'll be there's talks. I think it's going to happen. I think they already know. I think it
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, people have made review bombing this, but like it has like the most views or second most views,
and it's controversial. People are talking about it and getting, and I'm telling you, these people are going and watching this because of a lot of the hate too. So you know, you can say what you want, but they're getting the numbers that they want off of this, and the controversy alone, I think, has propelled this show to new heights. Not even saying whether it's good or bad or whatever. But I think we're gonna get some answers. I don't think we're gonna get them all. They're gonna leave that for season 2 or other Star Wars media. You know, we've got other books. There's probably more book series gonna come out, more comics, more video games. I think the video games are kind of a lower tier of canon. But anyway, for episode 7, I'm gonna give it a 7. I love the action, dude. Watching Kelnaka just mac on Torben's face with his hand was crazy. I still don't know. I do want to bring. I kind of teased this before, and I do want to take just a moment. Why did Torben feel so bad about what he did? Like, why did he kill himself over that? I think that was a little weird.
Because he found out he didn't have to. Because Mother Anastasia was going to let Osha go, and he was just like too impatient and was selfish, and that was giving in to his own emotion of the dark side, and so he had to say, yeah, I can't do that.
And that cat did some work. He had to make Master in 6 years from that point.
Oh yeah, dude was doing some work.
Yeah.
In that time jump.
Overtime, because, you know, 16 years from, you know, it was a flashback of 16 years, and he had a 10-year vow of silence. And, so he had 6 years of... He must have trained a Padawan up to a knight and done a bunch of crazy stuff. Anyway, yes, a 7. I don't think we're going to get all the answers we want next week, but I am looking forward to it. Oh, and just a side note, Qimir, put some pants on, man. Let's go on and turn it over to Master Yoda for the word of the week.
There is more knowledge here than anywhere else in the galaxy.
Nudity, the word of the week is.
I think that's very fitting, Master Yoda. That is definitely very fitting. We got the first full nude scene in any Star Wars project.
Official Star Wars project.
Are you saying there's unofficial Star Wars projects with nudity?
Yes. Filmed them myself, I did. The lonely days on Dagobah.
Thinking of you. Okay, Master Yoda, no, we're not getting into that here. That's too much.
Selfish you are, reliving the past I was.
Yeah, I don't think we want to relive it with you. But yeah, it was a little raunchy, I think, for Star Wars. It's been pretty PG up till now.
Yes, moving into a more adult direction they are.
Very astute observation. Before I let you go, though, Master Yoda, what do you think of Wikipedia?
Followed me on Twix, they did not.
For those of you who don't know, Master Yoda has a Twix account, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you check out at DW_Yoda, that's at DW_Yoda, because he's Dork Wars Yoda. He's always posting some funny stuff out there in the World Wide Web, so check that out. This has been another great episode of Dork Wars, the podcast. Thank you all for listening. We couldn't do this without you. Check out dorkwarspodcast.com. Of course, there you can find our YouTube channel, our merchandise store. Tell a friend about us. Share our stuff. Interact with us on the social medias. We love to hear from listeners. I actually even heard from a listener this week. Actually, a new listener. They weren't a listener. We had a message on our website of some folks from Great Britain, actually, the UK, who are listening to our show now. I want to shout out Riley. Thank you for being a listener. So thank you guys, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you for supporting Dork Wars, the podcast. You can check us out on Facebook.com/Dork Wars, the podcast. And if you would like to join in on the discussion or maybe suggest topics for us to discuss, please do so by joining our Discord community or sending us an email at dorkwarspodcast@gmail.com.
This has been a...
Oh, what's that guy's name in Rogue One?
Production.